Hello, and welcome to our parent chat for the week. We are going to be talking about tips for shopping with children. Sometimes when we take our kiddos out, it is not a real pleasant experience and it can make it very difficult. So I'm just going to share today some tips and strategies that might help you when you're out shopping with your kiddos. My name is Tanya Lentz, and I'm an infant and early childhood mental health consultant with the Children's Resource Center. I also left my email address here on the first screen for you to email me if you have any questions or comments about the video. So let's go ahead and get started. The first tip is that we want to make sure that all their needs are met before we go into the store. Anytime we take a kiddo, we want to make sure first that they're not tired. We don't want to take them right before nap time. We don't want to take them right before bedtime. We want to make sure that they're not really tired, because if they're tired, they start getting easily frustrated, easily overwhelmed. And so we just want to make sure that they're not tired. The second one, we want to make sure that they're not hungry. That's another trigger point for kiddos, is when they start getting hungry, just like adults, we tend to struggle when we start getting hungry. We're easily agitated. We just are not at our best. And so we want to make sure anytime we take kiddos that they're not hungry. So we can give them a snack before we leave, or give them their lunch before we leave, or we can give them a snack to snack on while they're sitting in the cart. Completely up to you, and that's a personal choice, but just to kind of be thinking of that ahead of time to make sure that we're not taking our kiddos when they're going to want a snack or are really hungry. And the last one on this page is just make sure that they don't need to use the restroom, or they don't need their diaper changed, and all of those things are taken care of when we walk into the store, so they can be at their best while we have them on the trip. And the second one is to make sure all of your needs are met as well. And so as moms or dads, we tend to make sure we take care of all of the little humans first and make sure all their needs are met, and then we forget to eat, or that we are hungry, and so we want to make sure that anytime we take the kiddos that we're meeting our needs as well. Make sure we use the restroom. Make sure we grab a snack or a coffee or our favorite little treat before we go in, so we can be at our best to help our little kiddos succeed on this trip as well. Step 3 is that we want to discuss what your rules and expectations are before going. And so we can do this at home, or we can do it in the car. And so we really want to talk to our kiddos about a couple different things. The first thing that I suggest is that we talk about, what do you think the shopping trip should sound like? We can go over noise levels, our voice levels in the store, what we expect them to be. We can talk about things we like to hear. And we can also say, what are some of the things we don't want to hear? Kids don't like to be yelled at, so they're going to bring up things like, we want you to say nice, kind things, like good job sitting in the cart. So we can go over all those things with kiddos about what they want their shopping trip to sound like. The next one that goes along with this is, ask them, what do you think the shopping trip should look like? And kiddos are really smart, and they're going to start bringing up things that you've talked about with them on previous shopping trips. Things like, I should be sitting in my cart with my strap on. I should be holding on to that little mini cart while I'm pushing it and using my walking feet. So whatever your rules are, or wherever you want your child to be, whether they're in the cart or whether you let them push that little cart, there's going to be rules about those things. And so kids know what those are. And so they're going to bring up the things that you talk about with them. And they're going to say, that's what the shopping trip should look like. Them standing beside you, them helping, them using kind words. So all of these things are going to come out in, what does it sound like and what does it look like? The next one is, what are your rules? So there's lots of safety concerns when we take our kiddos shopping. And so we want to make sure we talk about those with kids. The first one, might be something like, when we're in the cart, we're sitting with our lap bands on. We're not going to be standing up in the cart. We're not going to be jumping out of the cart, and those types of things. Similar, if your child is out of the cart, you're going to go over rules about where they need to be, how far away they can get from you, and it's all about safety, and that's what we need to talk about with the kiddos. I want to keep you safe, and so here's some of the rules that we have to have while we're on our trip. Kiddos are really smart, and they're going to pick up on these things. As much as we go over them, they're going to start understanding what those rules are before we even talk about them. So it's just all about expecting or letting them know what to expect while we're on our trip. The next one, number 4, avoid busy times at the store. And this can be really hard if you have to just make a quick trip to the store, but as much as possible, we want to make sure that we're trying to avoid those busy times. Because children can go kind of on a sensory overload while they're at the store. There's lots of bright lights, there's lots of noises. And so some kids are more susceptible to those things. And we just want to make sure we're not adding one more thing to that sensory overload. So if we go at a time where there's not that many people shopping, it makes it a little easier for them to tolerate those bright lights and those noises that they're not familiar with. When we go and it's super crowded, it just adds that one more thing that we really don't want to add to them in a really stressful time for kiddos. 5, we want to let them be helpers. Children love to help us. And sometimes we get so busy with the task at hand that we forget that they are there and they can help us with little things, and it keeps them busy. So if we let them hold the list for us and cross off the things when we grab them, we can ask them to grab things off the shelf for us and put them in the cart. So there's lots of different things that we can have the kiddos do, and it helps their self-esteem because they feel like they are helping us. And it keeps them focused on the task of hand of shopping and not on the task that they can get off on little tangents on and not be focused. Number 6, we want to let them pick which items to buy. And this sounds really scary as a parent, but it's not, and let me explain. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to give them 2 choices that we approve of, and then let them pick which one they want. So the first example is an apple or grapes. So they're going to pick which snack they get for the week as far as their fruits go. And it's 2 things that we approve of, but they get to be the one that picks it. It helps while we're shopping, and it also helps later on in the week when we give them a cut up apple and they say, well, I don't want that. And we just say, this is the snack that you chose for the week. So we're going to eat the apple today. And the next time we go shopping, you can choose another fruit that you might want for the week. And so it just kind of gives you that little bit of reinforcement that they have ownership in this. This is what they picked. And so we're going to eat this today, but they can pick another snack next time. Just gives them that control that kiddos really want in an environment where they don't have a lot of control. 7, we're going to make a game out of shopping. And this is really easy to do because games are an excellent way of keeping children engaged and focused on the task of shopping without them even realizing that that's what we're doing. So we can ask them to look for certain colors. We can ask them to look for certain products. Depending on the age level, you can adjust the games that you have. You can have them count the carts that they see. We can even print little bingo cards. There's little bingo cards out there that have items that you see in a grocery store. And as they're going along, they can check those little items off. And the first one to fill their card up is the winner. And it's just a fun way to keep them focused and not fighting with each other or not running around unsupervised. 8. When and then rewards. And so towards the end of our shopping trip, kiddos are going to start losing that focus. And so we're going to talk about with them, we're not bribing them or threatening them, but we can just say things like, when we get everything on our list and we're almost done, then we can go look at the toy section. Or then we can go shop in the Christmas section and walk around and look at things. Now remember, we talked about expectations ahead of time. We can talk about these expectations when we walk into the store, before we go into the store. We can say, remember, we are not buying anything, but maybe you can start a Christmas list or a birthday list as we're walking through that toy section. So you can kind of handle those things ahead of time. Kiddos always think when we walk into a store that they're going to get something. And that doesn't have to be that. A reward does not mean it's a monetary reward. We can say things like, we're just going to walk around that toy section and look at different toys that maybe you might want to put on your birthday list or your Christmas list or anything like that. And it just helps those kiddos get something out of that trip for participating and helping out. So for more resources, I wanted to include our YouTube channel. It's Children's Resource Center. You can just search that on YouTube. I included the link here and the QR code that you can take a picture of with your phone, and it would take you straight to YouTube. I also included our Facebook page, which is CRC Infant and Early Childhood Connection. There is a link here and also another QR code that you can take a picture of. There's excellent resources here. On our YouTube channel, we have over 100 videos now, and it's growing every week. So please look at that and kind of check out some of our different videos that we have. In our Facebook, we share lots of different articles about being a parent and raising children and all of the different difficult tasks that we might face, and they're just great resources there. So please check those out. And then my resources for this particular parent chat, I included Conscious Discipline, the Devereaux Center for Resilient Children, and an article that I read on the natural child that just talks about some tips for shopping. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I included it on this slide as well. And thank you for coming to our presentation. And I hope you enjoyed it.